Hi, hello friends, welcome back to my channel and I hope you're having a great day or a great week so far. In today's video, I thought I would talk about how I manifested my dream house, which is the house I currently live in, and basically the key to manifestation. I feel like ever since I was a little girl, I have been manifesting things and I didn't really know what it was called, but some things would just happen. I would just wish for things and it would come true. And not to say it doesn't come with hard work, but I feel like I've basically mastered the key to manifestation and I want to share it with you guys in hopes that you'll implement this in your own life as well. Not to say that it doesn't come with hard work, but I think with hard work and also a very good mindset, you can basically manifest your dream life very quickly. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure that you do like this video and let me know in the comments if you practice manifestation and the things that you are grateful for. Okay, now let's go. Let's get into the video. I'll start by saying that I've always been a hard worker in life. I really have been a hustler. Ever since I was young, I always hustled for anything that I wanted and I usually always got it, which sounds very spoiled as I'm saying it now. But it is true. Everything that I have wanted, my dream life is in the palm of my hands. I have it. I'm happy. I'm content. My life is amazing and I'm continuing to strive for greater and more powerful things as we speak. But yes, I've always felt like I've gotten everything that I wanted. And when I was younger, I didn't know why this happened. I didn't know why I would think about someone and then they would walk into my life, or I didn't know why I would be down on the dumps about money and then I would all of a sudden get a random lump sum of something. But now looking back at it, I know that it was basically my mindset and like me manifesting what I wanted that came to play. So now I'm able to use that to my power, because before I was very blinded by it. I did not know what was happening. All I know was that I was grateful. I mean, you don't even have to watch to the end of this video, but gratitude is really the most important thing in manifestation. And I'll talk about how recently it really played a big role in me finding my house. And I am kind of keeping this as a diary as well because I love my house so much and I want to look down the road and remember I want to remember the journey to me finding this house. But yes, I live in Canada. I'm originally from BC, around the Vancouver area. I mean, I've lived in like all the cities around Vancouver, Burnaby, Surrey, Coquitlam. So that's why I say like the general area, but I did last live in Surrey before moving to Edmonton, Alberta. So my husband and I got married in 2019 and we basically knew that something that was really important to us was buying a house. And I know that buying a house as two young people is very challenging in this economy, in this market, with cost of living going up and wages not. It's very hard, but out of everything, buying a house was very important to my husband and I. We really wanted a house. We were willing to sacrifice so many things to get a house. We had one car between the two of us and we had a small car. We never upgraded. We had the same car for like 9 years until it got totaled last year. We probably would have kept it for longer if it wasn't in a car accident. But yes, we lived within our means. We lived cheaply. We budgeted. We made good money. We always continued to try to get raises from work, to try to upgrade, to try to make more money in side hustles. So my husband and I knew that a house was what we wanted. We knew that we could not do that in BC. It is not possible for my husband and I to get a house in BC with what we had. And if we did, we would be struggling. We would be paying for a very expensive mortgage. We would probably be living paycheck to paycheck. We wouldn't be able to afford nice things. So we were like, okay, like we should look at leaving the province. So we thought about where we'd want to go, and we knew that Alberta wasn't too far from family because all of our family's in BC, and we didn't really mind moving out of BC because we weren't really using the draw that everybody has to BC. So like we weren't going to the ocean, we were barely going to the mountains, we don't do hikes, we are very much like homebody people. We like going to the gym. We're like indoors kind of people for the most part. So we thought, like, what's the point in staying here? It is so expensive. We don't really see family that often because, everybody has their own lives. Everybody's busy. Like, what is the point in staying here when we could basically get the house that we want for a fraction of the cost and, you know, live our life somewhere else. Like, it's fine. Like, we fly back to BC all the time. We see family. We have all the technology to talk. You know, it's all right. We don't have to stay in BC because we don't use what's around us, or like we don't really benefit from living in BC like other people do. We were kind of looking around Alberta and we were debating whether we want to live in Calgary or Edmonton, but we just found that Edmonton was a lot cheaper, even though Calgary was kind of our first choice because we thought it was more urban, which, you know, I don't know why we thought that in the beginning, because we barely go out in Edmonton, and like if we lived in Calgary it's a little bit more expensive, and we probably wouldn't, you know, go out that much. So I'm so glad we picked Edmonton. But anyways, so we were debating on the two, and we were also debating on jobs. So I work fully remote, I work corporate, and then I also do side hustles on the side. So obviously I do YouTube, I do my blog, I do content creation. So for me, it wasn't a big deal. For my husband, he was debating, oh, like, do I have to look for a new job or can I stay with my current job? So thankfully, his job had a office in Edmonton, so he was able to just relocate with his company. So he still currently works for his company, whereas for me, I was able to just move anywhere because I'm allowed to move within Canada with no issues whatsoever. So at that point, we were like, okay, well, like Edmonton it is, the houses are cheaper there, we'll move to Edmonton. We went through this whole process of moving to Edmonton. I would say it took about a year. So from the moment my husband kind of submitted his request to relocation, we were kind of just waiting it out. I already knew that I would be approved. And then as soon as my husband got approved, it got very real. So then at that point we were like, okay, I think he got approved around like November of 2022, I'm pretty sure. And then we were like, okay, like we should move by, you know, like spring or summer next year, right? And that's when our lease for our townhouse in Surrey would renew. So we decided that we were gonna move in May 1st of next year. So at that point, we started looking for how to ship our things, how to ship our car, our flights to move here, and an apartment. So it was all very, very stressful and very fun at the same time because it was so exciting. It was just gonna be my husband and I moving out here. We didn't have much help from anybody aside for like in Surrey. We did have a few of our family members help us pack and take some stuff away from us, so that was really nice. And then we packed our things and basically was ready. On May 1, we were ready. I mean, the whole moving process was a bit stressful and there were so many things that went wrong, but I'm just not gonna say all that in this video because this video will be 3 hours long. But anyways, fast forward to May 1st, we stay with my in-laws and then we take the next flight on, I think it was Sunday morning. Also, a lot of things went wrong, but I got really sick from my niece. My niece was sick and I was staying with her, so I got really sick from my niece. Then I passed it on to my husband. So as soon as we arrived in Edmonton, we were so sick. We had to go to the clinic right away and we had to get medication for strep. We both had strep throat. Yeah, it was terrible. And to top that off, we've never seen the apartment that we were leasing. We just paid for deposit and first month's rent to a property manager. That's another thing I highly recommend. If you are gonna move somewhere, do not rent from like a landlord, rent from a property manager. I mean, of course, it's always gonna be sketchy, but if you don't have time to view the place or like fly in, at least with a property management company, they're a bit easier to deal with because they are a company, whereas with like if you're just transferring money to a landlord, it's like so sketchy and like obviously you're paying thousands of dollars for rent, so you cannot just be out that money and then out a place to live as soon as you get there. So I highly recommend that. I dealt with a property management company and I knew I wanted to do that and everything went so smoothly. They didn't care as long as I paid. They were giving me the keys on May 1st. So yeah, we were extremely sick, whatever. And then at that point I was like crying. I was like, oh my god, is this like is this worth it? Do you think this is a sign that I shouldn't be here because I am just so sick? But in my head I was just like, you know what, no, like I feel like I was made to be here, like I'm meant to be here, so I'm just gonna get well and then, you know, continue on. So I did. After a couple of days of having very bad strep throat, I got better. I started to unpack and, you know, things were getting a little better. My husband and I were starting to go around Edmonton and just explore and view things. A month in, we were like, okay, let's go change our licenses, get health cards, all of the little nitty gritty things of moving provinces. So we did all that. We got new licenses, we got our health cards, we got our car inspected and insured for Alberta. And then we were like, okay, we got this ticked off. Now we have a 6-month lease. We are determined to buy a house. We're gonna start looking for houses. So literally within a month of us moving to Edmonton, we were like, okay, we're gonna look for houses right now. So we got in touch with a real estate agent, we got in touch with a mortgage broker, and we started to go on with the process. For the summer of 2023, my husband and I basically just spent all of our free time viewing houses. We would look at listings on the realtor website, and then we would send it to a realtor and say, hey, we want to check this out. And then also a realtor would send us listings and be like, hey, are you guys interested in this? And then we would be seeing like 3 to 4 houses a day. And every time we went to a house, we basically had more experience to compile a list of things that we did and didn't want. My husband and I were first-time house owners. We didn't really know what we were looking for until we were there. So we would go into a house and be like, oh, we would chat again later and we would think, okay, like what do we not want and what do we want from that house, right? So we compiled a list of pros and cons, everything that we wanted and we didn't want, and then we just continued looking. So we kept looking. July, August, we kept going into houses, we kept looking at the website trying to find things. And then every time I would walk into a house in Edmonton, I just had this nagging feeling that it wasn't my house. Like, they were nice houses, it just wasn't my house. You know, I really wanted to walk into a house and feel like it was my house. And I wasn't sure if I was just being crazy because, you know, obviously they're all not my houses. You have to make your house your home. So I was thinking, am I like just being super crazy and like having such high expectations? I'm never gonna find something that's my house until I obviously buy it and make it my house. I think about August, we basically had like 3 months. Our lease would expire October 31st. So we basically had a couple months, and my husband and I got home on like a Friday night and we were like, okay, like I think that we need to make an offer in one of the houses. So like we've seen a lot. We had like a top 3 list, but again, none of them felt like my house. So my husband and I were like, maybe we should just make an offer on this house and see if they'll sell it to us for a lot cheaper than a sell price since it's been on the market for a long time. I told my husband, you know what, like I guess I just don't think I'll ever feel like it's my house. We've already seen so many houses. I'm just so thankful that we can afford a house. Let's just make an offer. I was still so bummed. So I work nighttime, so I work like 9 to 5 a.m. And throughout my whole shift at work, I kept thinking like, oh, just like they just don't feel like my house. Should we get the house? Should we wait? I don't know. But then I would snap myself out of those negative thoughts and like of feeling down and think, hold on, like we saved so much money. I'm so proud of us. We are a young couple. We should just put an offer on a house. Just because we put an offer on a house and we buy a house now and it's not our dream house doesn't mean our dream house won't come to us later on. So I was thinking, okay, like it's fine. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful I can afford a house. It's not the end of the world if it's not the house that I feel is my house. It's fine. So I went to sleep that night thinking exactly that, thinking about how grateful and blessed I am. So the next morning I woke up and I was thinking, okay, like my husband and I are about to send a message to our realtor and let him know that we're ready to make an offer on our top house. And my husband's like, hey, good morning. I've been looking all morning for a house and I actually expanded our search area. So it's a little bit outside of the city, but you know, I found this house and I think you'll really like it, right? So I look at the listing my husband has open, which is about like 20 minutes away from the main city. And as soon as I looked at the house, I already felt like it was my house. You know, it had everything I wanted. So it had a garage attached. It was bright, so there was lots of windows. I love natural light. I try not to use any of the overhead lights, but it has lots of windows. It was bright. It was airy. The living room was super cozy, an open concept. There's a backyard and it doesn't back into somebody's house. It actually backs into a road, so nobody's looking at what I'm doing in my living room at all times. I don't know, it was a good size. There was like a semi-finished basement. Like it had everything I wanted. Like the bedroom had French doors that open. The master bedroom was really big. There's a walk-in closet. So I was like looking at my husband and I was thinking like, my God, like this feels like my house. Like, let's go see it, right? My husband and I immediately asked the realtor if we can get a peek at this house. So we booked an appointment, and he's like, oh, like I don't know if I can swing it, but like I'll let you know like a couple hours, right? And we were like saying like, oh, we really want to see this house. So my realtor got word that we could go see the house later in the afternoon at like 4 p.m. From where we lived in Edmonton, it was about 30 minutes. So we drove out here for 30 minutes, and then as soon as I walked into the house, you guys, I felt it. I felt that feeling that this was my house. And I knew that I wasn't crazy in that moment, because the whole time I was like, am I crazy for trying to wait for a feeling of this is my house? So I walked in and I was like, oh my God, what a relief. Yeah, I feel it. So I was like smiling the whole time. We were viewing the house in every room. Our realtor was also a contractor, or I think is still currently, I don't know, maybe it's both, but he was like looking at the bill of the house and like letting us know, you know, some things to look out for in the future. At the end of our tour, or at the end of our viewing, our real estate agent was like, so like, what do you think? And like my husband looked at me and was like, well, based on her expression and her smile, I'm pretty sure this is our house. So our realtor was like, okay, well, like this house hasn't been on the market for long. It just got on. They're doing an open house next week. Like, how do you guys want to play this? It's listed fairly higher than the houses in the area. However, you know, like the appliances and like the stuff in the house are pretty new and upgraded. So the prices, you know, like is fine. But do you guys want to start your offer at like a rate that's within the neighborhood, or do you want to go higher and make them an offer that's too good to be true? I looked at my husband and I was like, I really want this house. We basically gave them what they were asking for. I was like so excited, like driving away from this house. You're looking at the neighborhood, and I loved it so much. And I was like, okay, like don't get your hopes up too high. Like, what if they say no? What if they want to do an open house? Like, okay, like I have to calm down. So I was like trying so hard to not get my hopes up, but I was like, oh my God, like I can't get over the feeling that this is my house. So we finally heard back from the real estate agent. They accepted our offer. So we were moving forward, and finally, this is my house. So I've been so happy living here, and honestly, like I can't explain it to you. I always knew that this was my house, and it became my house. But I have to tell you guys, I mean, my husband did find this listing, of course. So I give a lot of the credit to him, because I was about to give up. However, I do feel like with the chain of events, especially with me the night before, and like I really am telling you guys the truth, like the night before I was down in the dumps thinking like, none of those feel like my house. But I snapped myself out of it and just thought about how grateful I was to be able to afford a house, and how happy I am, and how happy I was at the stage of life I was in. And then things worked out for me. Like everything came to me. I didn't have to work for it. I mean, I guess my husband had to work for it. Like it came to me, and like that's how I feel like my whole life has been. I've always been the type of person who's like been extra grateful for everything she has. You know, obviously other people have different circumstances in life, and it can be hard. I'm not the most privileged person in the world, but the way that my life has unraveled, I'm definitely very privileged. But I have to really credit that to gratitude. And that is the key to manifestation. It's gratitude. Being thankful for what you have, and being happy and content with what you have. Just by being positive and thankful, good things attract to you. When you are happy and when you are thinking positive thoughts, those positive thoughts attract to you. I highly recommend that if you are down, or if you're feeling like stumped or challenged in any way, always practice gratitude. And I know so many people say that, but I have to tell you that it really works. It's happened to me in so many instances, and took me the longest time to really figure out what manifestation was and how to use it to my advantage. And now I do. I'm very happy. I have a great life. I'm so thankful for everything I have, and I'm so excited to see where life takes me and the journey takes me. But yes, please, if you are looking to practice manifestation, and you are someone who maybe hasn't had the easiest life, always try to practice gratitude, no matter how small it is. It could be the smallest thing, like I'm so thankful that I'm able to have a cup of coffee today. But just putting your mindset into that place where you're just thankful for everything you have is just amazing. And I mean, I'm not the most religious person, so definitely if you are having faith is also another form of manifestation. You know, whatever you believe in, as long as you're always practicing gratitude, it is so important. I will continue to do that for the rest of my life, and I'm so happy that I live in my house now. And I don't know, like it's such a happy story for me, and I wanted to document it so that I could watch it one day and think about how I got this house. Who knows, one day I might even find another house. I might be living somewhere else, but for now I am super thankful that I live in my house. Like, I can't explain to you the joy I feel finding this house and knowing that it was meant for me. But yeah, I think that ends my story. I know it was a long ramble, but I am happy to be sharing the story, and I'm happy to be telling you the key to manifestation, which is gratitude, because that's what I follow, and I have been loving my life so far. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and a little insight into how I got my dream home and how happy I am to be able to have this home. I hope you guys also practice manifestation, because I want you guys to have all of your dreams and your desires. But if you like this video, let me know, and in the comments if you ever had a story where you practice manifestation without knowing it, because for me that was like without knowing it. It's me looking back at it where I was like, hey, like I really did that, I really manifested that. But I'd love to know some of your stories, and also subscribe if you haven't yet. I release a video every week, and I just share things about my life. I try to be as real as possible, just share stories and like daily vlogs and stuff, and like things that have helped change my life, because I want everybody to live a great life. But anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.